Imagine a budget that can accurately predict what your bank balance will be at any point in time. Maybe it's Christmas Day, maybe New Year's Eve, this time next year. What about 5 years from now? Well, this budget exists and I've been using it for 20 years and I've only just realized that not everybody has a budget like this.
He's got sheet smarts. Wow. Spreadsheet smarts.
In this video, I'm going to tell you why the concept of a monthly budget is broken and how most budgets will leave you completely blind to what's happening in your bank account. But I'm not just here to point out problems, I'm going to explain how I solve them. And on this channel, I'll be making a series of videos to show you how to build a budget that will work for any situation forever. Managing money is something that most people never learn properly. And I don't mean hiring a financial planner and buying investments. I just mean managing things like your rent, your bills, your groceries. This is an essential task that should be taught to every kid in every school. But for some reason, it's been largely ignored by the education system for generations. I remember learning about contour lines in geography, burning magnesium in science, and using Pythagoras' theorem in maths. And do you know how many times I've needed these in my day-to-day life? Exactly. But budgeting, well, I need this all the time and I have done since I was 19 and I got a car loan. But for most young people today, they're taking on the financial obligations of owning a phone before they're legally allowed to work. And they have no idea how to handle their financial future. Now, as much as I wish I didn't need a budget and I didn't need to check my bank balance, that's just not true. And the way that most economies are structured, that's not true for almost all of us. So if we're all out there trying to manage our income and our expenses, then why isn't there a standardized budgeting tool to help us? Well, it's actually very simple. Because there's no standard family, there's no standard job, no standard set of expenses. We all have unique lives with unique situations, even within the same household. For example, meet Pete and Jenny. Pete has a full-time job and gets paid monthly. This is perfect because Pete uses one of Excel's built-in monthly budget templates. And Pete's budget shows that his salary covers rent and all of their monthly bills. But it doesn't leave enough to cover groceries or give them any spending money for things that they need. So Jenny works part-time and gets paid weekly. Their monthly budget shows that what Jenny will earn will cover the groceries, with enough left over to pay for essential items, gifts, and treats. Using the monthly surplus shown in Pete's budget, Jenny goes shopping on the weekend and buys some shoes for their daughter Casey and a birthday present for their son Billy. The following day, Jenny is shocked and embarrassed when she tries to buy groceries and doesn't have enough money to pay for them. So how did this happen? In the simplest terms, it's because Jenny is paid weekly. So her monthly surplus won't be accurate until her final payday of the month has arrived and all of her expenses are paid. So why would Jenny use a budget she can't trust until the month is almost over? Never wishing to go through this again, Jenny decides to split her expenses into smaller, more regular amounts that can be covered by her weekly income and won't create any uncertainty during the first few weeks of each month. Jenny does a quick Google search to find a weekly budget she can use for her new plan, but it proves far more difficult than she expected. But even if there was a weekly budget template that was easy to find, why should Pete and Jenny have to manage their money separately? They balance their work and family responsibilities fairly, so they should be able to share their finances equally. The reason that their budget and so many other budgets fail is due to the very basic formula of monthly income in, monthly expenditure out. This kind of budget assumes that their life fits into this perfect schedule where all of their income is available at the start of the month and all of their expenses go out at the same time. Because this is the only logical way that Pete and Jenny can be confident that all of their expenses are paid and the money that's left over is available for them. But can they pay all of their expenses at once? Well, no, life doesn't work that way, and expenses rarely line up with when you get paid. Let's use a real-life example of a grocery shop. You wouldn't buy your entire month's worth of fresh milk all on one day, and if you do, you've probably got a bigger problem than just your budget. So assuming we're logical people and we're not blowing our entire month's money on one day, then why are budget templates set up this way? Because it's quick and easy for people to make these templates and they're not really trying to provide a genuine solution for you. Don't get me wrong, there are some custom-made budgets out there that can track your spending with 100% accuracy, but they rely on you to enter every single purchase you've made for them to work. But if you're like me, you've been out recklessly tapping your card multiple times a day and don't particularly want to go home and spend hours listing everything that you've purchased to reconcile your budget. Also, I'd like to point out the obvious that this isn't really a budget, it's a transaction list. And whether you've itemized your purchases or not, your bank balance already reflects what you've spent, and your balance isn't going to change. There is a benefit to listing your transactions and understanding your spending habits so you can budget accordingly. But listing those transactions and calling it a budget is like drawing a map of where you've been and trying to use that to get to where you're going. Your transactions are the roads behind you. Your bank balance is where you are, and your budget should be your GPS to get where you need to go. The number one job your budget should have is to help you to make informed financial decisions, because it can tell you what your bank balance will be at any point you need to know it. This is something that most budgets fail at in spectacular fashion. So how do we solve Pete and Jenny's problem? Simple. We need to take Pete's monthly income and Jenny's weekly income, combine them both into one budget. We then work out when they get paid, when their expenses need to leave their bank account, and make sure that we always have enough money to cover those expenses. It sounds simple, but to automate this into one budget is actually pretty tricky. The good news for you is that I've worked out how to do it, and I want to show you how to do it. On this channel, I'll be making a series of videos with step-by-step instructions on how to build this exact budget, while teaching you some new Excel tricks along the way, which you can use for work, school, or just everyday life.